Love x Revenge brings you a story where love, betrayal, and blood ties collide in the most unexpected courtroom drama. The courtroom was packed long before the judge arrived. Whispers buzzed like trapped flies, bouncing off the wooden benches and marble walls. Everyone had come for the same reason, the scandal. A wealthy businessman accused of infidelity, a pregnant wife seeking justice, and a mistress bold enough to show her face in court. But no one yet understood how deeply personal this case would become. Anna sat in the front row, her hands resting protectively over her swollen belly. She was 7 months pregnant, exhausted, and emotionally raw, yet she held herself upright with quiet dignity. Her eyes were fixed straight ahead, refusing to acknowledge the woman sitting just a few meters away. That woman was Mila. Mila looked nothing like a defendant. Perfect makeup, designer dress, and a cold confidence that suggested she was used to getting whatever she wanted. She kept glancing toward Anna with a smirk that twisted like a knife. The man at the center of it all, Victor, avoided looking at either of them. He stared at the floor, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a poor disguise. When the bailiff announced the judge, the room rose. Judge Alexander Volkov entered with measured authority, his expression stern, unreadable. He took his seat, scanned the courtroom, and for a brief fraction of a second, his gaze paused on Mila. Something flickered there. Recognition. Pain. Then it vanished behind the mask of the law. Anna didn't notice. She was focused on keeping her breathing steady, on reminding herself that this was for her child. For truth. The proceedings began calmly enough. Statements were read. Evidence of the affair was presented. Messages, photos, hotel receipts. The air grew heavy with judgment. Mila shifted in her seat, her lips tightening as the narrative painted her not as a glamorous lover, but as a willing destroyer of a family. Then Anna was called to speak. She stood slowly, one hand on the bench for balance. Her voice trembled at first, but grew stronger as she spoke of betrayal, of discovering the affair while pregnant, of nights spent crying alone while her husband claimed he was working late. Tears slid down her cheeks, and more than a few people in the courtroom wiped their eyes. That was when Mila snapped. "Don't act like a saint," Mila suddenly shouted, rising from her seat. Gasps rippled through the room. "You trapped him with that pregnancy. You were never good enough for him." The judge banged his gavel. "Order." But Mila was beyond control. She stormed forward, heels clicking sharply against the floor. Before anyone could react, she shoved Anna hard in the shoulder. Anna screamed as she stumbled backward, barely catching herself before falling. Panic exploded. The courtroom erupted in chaos. Security rushed forward. Victor shouted. Someone cried out about the baby. "Enough!" Judge Volkov roared, standing up. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. Mila froze. "Step back. Now," the judge commanded. For the first time, fear crossed Mila's face. Not fear of arrest. Fear of him. As security restrained her, she laughed bitterly. "Oh please. You won't do anything to me. You never do." The room went silent. Judge Volkov stared at her, his hands gripping the bench so tightly his knuckles turned white. A deep, terrible truth settled over the courtroom like a storm cloud. "Explain yourself," he said quietly. Mila's laugh trembled. "Why pretend? You know exactly who I am." A murmur spread. Confused glances darted from Mila to the judge and back again. "I'm your daughter," Mila said. "Or have you forgotten?" The words hit like an explosion. Anna sank back into her seat. Stunned. Victor's mouth fell open. The judge's face drained of color. "Yes," Mila continued, her voice cracking now, anger and hurt spilling out. "Your daughter. The one you abandoned when my mother got inconvenient. The one who grew up watching you on television, sentencing people for their sins while you never answered my letters." Judge Volkov slowly sat down. The courtroom was so quiet it felt unreal. "I never wanted this to come out like this," Mila said, tears finally streaking her perfect makeup. "But don't stand there judging me. You taught me what power looks like. You taught me that rules are for other people." Anna looked at Mila with new eyes. Not sympathy, not forgiveness, but understanding that pain, when left to rot, becomes poison. Judge Volkov closed his eyes briefly, then opened them again, older somehow. "This court will take a recess," he announced. When proceedings resumed, something had changed. The judge's voice was steady, but stripped bare of arrogance. He addressed the courtroom not as a distant authority, but as a man facing his own failure. "I will not recuse myself," he said. Gasps followed. "Because running away is what I have done my entire life. And today, I will not do it again." He turned to Mila. "You assaulted a pregnant woman in my courtroom. That alone warrants immediate consequences. But more than that, you stand here as someone who chose to inflict pain because you were in pain. I failed you as a father. That is my burden, but your actions are yours." Mila shook her head, sobbing. "So you'll punish me too? Like everyone else?" "Yes," he said softly. "And I will visit you. I will answer every question you ever asked. But I will not protect you from justice." Then he turned to Anna. "You," he said, his voice gentler, "have shown restraint and courage in the face of humiliation and danger. This court recognizes the harm done to you and your unborn child." The ruling was swift. Victor was held financially and legally accountable. A restraining order was issued against Mila. Charges were filed for the assault. There were no favors, no shortcuts. When the gavel fell for the last time, no one cheered. Mila was led away, crying not in rage now, but in grief. Anna was helped to her feet, still shaking, but safe. As she passed the judge's bench, their eyes met. "I'm sorry," he said, "not as a judge, but as a man." Anna nodded once. "So am I." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed, hungry for statements. But the real story wasn't for headlines. It was about a man who faced the wreckage of his own choices. A daughter who confused revenge for healing. And a woman who walked into court broken, but walked out with her truth intact. Sometimes love turns into revenge. And sometimes, justice demands that blood means nothing at all.